Welcome back to Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2024. In the last video, we promoted Jesse Tuohei to head coach, signed a new third assistant head coach. Also saw the awards for the previous year and of the draft lottery, in which we landed with the 4th pick and the 11th pick in the draft, which is what we're going to do today primarily, and might do a little bit more depending on how long the draft process takes. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as last time, but it might take longer because I've actually got an extra. Last time I just had 1 pick, and we've got 3 picks this time. So there's definitely a world where it could take longer. But we're going to jump right into this, and definitely excited about seeing who we come up with. I do kind of like this intro that turn it down just a little bit. I kind of like this intro where you see the names of some of the better players. There's Renard Whitfield, who we might end up drafting. That should be a pretty good pick for us. It's kind of a weak draft, though. It looks like in the last video we have like one 5-star player, one 4-star player, and then a whole bunch of 2- and 3-star players. So hopefully we can get some. Their lottery picks are at least decent. All right, let's go ahead and start the draft. And the Rangers have the first pick. And I'll just go ahead and okay, they drafted John Walker. And that's not the, I can't remember the name of the, I think that's the 4-star player. Right? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. My memory just keeps getting worse and worse as I get older. He's a small forward. I think that's one of the ones we kind of had an eye on because it would have been, we need forwards on our team. But can't get John Walker anymore. See who the next pick goes to, or who it is. Nick Walcott. So neither team drafted that 5-star center with the first 2 picks. Now, I don't really want to draft the 5-star center either because, well, we've already got a great center in Bennett, so it might be smart to draft the 5-star center though and then trade him if he's really that good. Anyway, there's one more pick and then our pick. So who will the Eagles draft here? They drafted guard Marvin Pipkins. So that 5-star center or projected 5-star center is still on the table. I don't know what's that changes things a little bit. I could draft him, and he's supposedly the best player in this draft. Let's go ahead and go to the available players. So yeah, I mean we've still got. Well, Renard Whitfield is who we were projected. Let's look at the mock draft here. George Parker is the name of that number 1 top center. We could draft him, and if I did draft him, I would probably trade him before he got really attached to him for a small forward or a power forward. We can also go with Renard Whitfield, who would definitely help us at power forward. Or we could get Larry Martin at small forward if he's looks like he's worth drafting. But I mean, we'd almost be stupid to pass up on George Parker because look at this. He's 5 stars. We did scout this guy. We did a workout with him, and the scout says he's a 5-star center. The reports say he's a 5-star center. So I don't think there's any doubt about it that this guy would be a great player. Almost be stupid not to take George Parker. Let's look at his detail real quick. Okay, he's definitely not an outside shooter, as you can see. It doesn't say anything about him being injury prone. Scoring is an A, passing is an F, handling is a C, rebounding is a B, and then C, C, and C on basically everything defensively. So it's like an average defensive player, decent rebounder, and a very good scorer. Is kind of what it looks like with George Parker. I think we'd be stupid not to draft George Parker. Let's look right before I select him. I want to also look at Renard Whitfield, who we were also looking at. And he's not as good of a scorer. Passing's a little bit better. Rebounding's about the same. He's a better defensive player according to the ratings. Now, I'm thinking, looking at their star ratings, though, he probably doesn't have the potential that George Parker has. So this definitely creates something to think about. But I feel like it's sort of like if back in the draft where Jordan was drafted, and he had, I think it was Olajuwon and Sam Bowie were drafted before Jordan because those teams needed big guys. The Rockets got Olajuwon, and gosh, I used to be better at NBA history, but I can't remember the team that drafted Sam Bowie. Was it the Bullets? Anyway, forgive my increasing debilitating memory, but somebody's going to roast me on that in the comments probably, but feel free to. Uh, I think I'm going to pick George Parker. Something I feel like he would be the best player to take here, and at the very least, we could trade him. Or, I mean, is there a world where we draft Parker and trade Bennett? That would actually kind of save us money if we could unload Bennett's contract and keep Parker if Parker is actually as good or better than Bennett. So I think I'm going to go with George Parker here. And I remember we got Barnes too, who played power forward for us last year. So, and at the 11th pick, who knows? Maybe there's a world where Whitfield's still available, even though I doubt it. And if he's not, maybe we can get Larry Martin or one of those other forwards down through here and end up with potentially the best player in the draft in George Parker and also get a decent forward. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. So we're going to draft George Parker. who was 5 stars on both star meters. And let's see what they say about it. I'm curious to see what these guys say about it. He said it's a nice pickup. He could have gone earlier, which I agree with. Says he averaged 2.6 blocks a game in college. So yeah, I think he could be a decent shot blocker. Okay, well, they seem to be okay with it. Let's go ahead and see who the Royals pick. They picked Brent King. Let's see who the Moose picks. Nick Paulding. I'm crossing my fingers that Renard Whitfield is still available at the 11th spot. I don't expect it, but could be. And the Roar will pick. Okay, they picked Renard Whitfield. But that's okay. We still have Barnes at our power forward spot. So Whitfield will not be joining our team, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll probably try to pick the best small forward available at the 11th pick. If there's somebody at least moderately decent left. And the Gears pick James Green. Who's not a small forward. So I think we'll still have, I think it was Larry Martin. I think he was projected to go like 8th. He was a small forward. So if he'll drop a few spots to us, that might be who we pick up. And the Dinos take Desmond Presbilla, a forward from Stanford. And the Racers, we got the Racers pick here, and then it's our turn again. And as soon as I pick our 11th pick, I'll see what the guys have to say about it. And then I'm just going to click the next human pick button and simulate by a whole bunch of picks until we get to our second round pick. I'm not sure which pick that would be. Honestly, I hadn't really thought about it. Usually I try to sign the second round pick to like a year just to give them a chance. A lot of times, though, on these games, unless this year is different, the second round picks are really never anything worth keeping, usually after a year. So, but it is another way to fill the roster out for this upcoming season. But let's see who the Racers take here with this pick. They took Tobias Jones, which sounds familiar. Oh, there's a Tobias Harris that is still in the league. I presume he's still in the league. He was in the league when I last watched the season. Tobias Jones sounds familiar, though. Okay, so now we have sent our pick, and the 41st pick is our second pick here. And I'm going to see down here at the bottom, because eventually on this ticker down here, it will say who the projected best small forward is. They're saying Jeff Lane out of Clemson. So let's see if we'll definitely look at Jeff Lane. I don't know if that's who we'll end up taking. There's a Joe Russell who's still available, who is 4 stars from the scouts, 4 stars from the media, I guess you would say, and 3 stars from the scout. There's Jeff Lane, who is 3 stars from the media and just 2 stars from the scout, so he might not be all that great. What about Larry Martin? Whatever happened to... Is he that far down, Larry Martin? Yeah, here's Larry Martin, 2 stars in both, so he's not that great either, really. Like I said, this looks like a weak draft. So, okay. If you want to know what I think personally, Larry Martin doesn't look like he's that good. We can look at his details, but here's the details on Larry Martin, and you can see he's pretty mediocre at a lot of things. Slightly, a B on stealing and defense though. So looks like he's a good on-ball defender who can pick up some steals, but really kind of mediocre at everything else. And if you want to look at Jeff Lane here out of Clemson, he's not a good shot blocker, but a small forward. A lot of small forwards aren't great shot blockers. It's like he's kind of a decent defender and rebounder, and could get you some points. Or we could take, and once again, this would be going with not exactly what we need, but the best player. It looks like the best player still available is Joe Russell. I don't see Joe Russell over here. Joe Russell's projected to go like 26th in the mock draft, but according to the media and to the scout, he might be the best overall player still available. We can look at his details here. A pretty decent scorer, good ball handler. We don't really need a shooting guard because we have Fortson, and I certainly don't think he would be better than Fortson. So we could take Joe Russell maybe as like a good 6th man, or we could draft Joe Russell and trade Joe Russell. Those are kind of our options here. Either Joe Russell as a bench player who we could maybe even trade. We could take. I'm actually going to take Larry Martin off the table because I think we would be better off drafting Jeff Lane if you wanted just to get the straight up small forward and go that route. So between Joe Russell and Jeff Lane, I think is who we got to pick here. And the thing about it is, we could always get a small forward in free agency this year. I think we'll have enough cap space to work with to where we can draft a small forward, or not draft a small forward, but sign a small forward, or we could just trade one of the guys we just picked up for a small forward. So I think I'm going to go with Russell. I think he's the best player available. I know he's projected to go later in the draft, but 4 stars from the media, 3 stars from the scout. I think it's the best overall chance we have of getting a guy that can make an impact. I don't know how much of an impact Jeff Lane would have. He looked kind of mediocre on a lot of things, and so did Martin. So uh, we'll go with Joe Russell here. And let's see what they say about it. What is he thinking? Terrible pick. Well, they don't think it was a good pick, apparently. He isn't a bad defender. An average defender. Okay. So maybe that wasn't the best pick. We'll see. We'll see how things turn out. I'm gonna go ahead and click next human pick and let these go through here. There's all sorts of. Okay, here we are with the 41st pick. Larry Martin is still available. Nobody took this poor guy. He wasn't very good though. He's projected to go 8th, and his draft stock fell big time. Because here we are at pick 41, and he's still on the board. Maybe we'll draft Larry Martin here. I didn't think he'd still be there. Will Canady is also still available from the first round. Several power forwards. Let's see who's better. Got Pat Edwards. These are all power forwards. Joe McPherson, small forward. Kyle Jones, Steven Anderson, and then you go into the 2-star players. Who do they have down here as best small forward available? They say Steve White out of Vanderbilt is the best small forward available. Let's look at Steve White real quick. I'm going to probably take either Larry Martin or Steve White. I don't even see Steve White. Here we go. Here's Steve White. He's 2 stars from both as well, just like Larry Martin. Let's see his player details. So average scorer, average ball handler, average rebounder, decent at steals, and a pretty good defender. So that's sort of what Steve White looks, what his stats look like. And if you want to compare that to Larry Martin, we'll look at Larry Martin again, who's kind of a C at everything, but a pretty good stealer and defender. Also says he has a very good work ethic, so that's good. I don't see anything about. We didn't get any So we didn't get any scout points written on this player. So you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger here on Larry Martin. I think he looks like a better option than Steve White. So we'll take Larry Martin in the second round from St. John's. And we have our 3 players. Let's see what they say here about Larry Martin, and then we'll see him the rest of the draft and look at the team. See kind of who we have to work with. Says when a player drops this far, something's wrong. Yeah, he might not be. Apparently, he didn't have very impressive workouts. Says he's tough as nails, so I mean, keeps himself in shape and off the injured list. So maybe it's not injuries that's the problem. Maybe he's like a bad teammate or something. Okay, well, we have who we have. It'll be interesting to see how they play out, and we'll go ahead and just simulate the rest of this draft here. Okay. And now we can kind of look at our rookies and see kind of their current star rating and their potential. Potential. So we'll start with George Parker here, who we drafted, who's only 3 stars right now, with a potential 4 star. So this is the guy we took with our first pick, and he's not as good as Bennett is, but he could be a very valuable trade piece. So that may be exactly what we do with him, because Bennett is a 4 potential 5, so he's probably not ever going to get to Bennett's level unless we keep him for a long, long time, and then but Bennett's not even that much older than him. Bennett's 23, he's 21, so I don't think we'll get too attached to George Parker. Probably end up trading him pretty soon. Also got Larry Martin here, who kind of ended up being what the scouts said he would be. Only a 1.5 star player with a potential 2-star rating, so not that great. We do have him. I'll probably sign him for a year and then let him go. And then we also drafted Joe Russell, who's only a 1-star. Oh wow! So yeah, he didn't end up that good at all. What were the scouts thinking? They had like a 4-star player from the media and a 3-star player. We should have picked. Was it Jeff Lane? That's who we should have picked. I wonder how good he was. So yeah, that's disappointing. We'll probably not really end up with any of these guys long term. I say we'll trade George Parker here pretty soon, and we'll man, I will sign Larry Martin for like a year. I think he's good enough to keep for a season. But Joe Russell, man, he's not even good at all. So I don't know what to say about that. Let's look at the contracts. Okay, here's McCleary, who the only thing we can do with McCleary right now is yeah, we can let McCleary walk Honestly, we could let McCleary walk and then keep Parker as our backup center and just let McCleary walk. I mean, that's not a bad option either. We still have Ramsey at small forward, who's a 3-star player, so for a couple seasons. Probably let Joey Reed walk. Honestly, if I let those two guys walk, then might not be a bad idea at all to keep George Parker. Let LaVor Hill walk. And really, all this is doing is clearing up some cap space for us. In the off season. Let Nick Bryant walk. So that gives us like 10 million to work with. Excuse me, in free agency. I will sign Larry Martin to like a 1-year contract. Give him a chance. So that's kind of who we have right now. We have about 9 million to work with in free agency. We could go ahead and advance past the contracts. I'll end the video here pretty quick. Don't want it to go too much longer. I'm going to go through scheduling. Yeah, we'll go with no in-season tournament. I still don't completely understand the in-season tournament. All right, and then I guess I'll stop the video here. We're at the Summer League games where we can invite players. And so next time we'll see how our players fare in the Summer League, our new rookies, and we'll see. I'll probably go through free agency in the next video, and then the video after next we'll start the new season. So that's all we got for this episode. Until next time.